Здравейте!
Dobry den, and welcome back to our little Bulgarian adventure.
We've had another hot week, lovely sunny weather,
Very hot.
apart from a torrential downpour on Wednesday.
Yes, which lasted about 40 minutes
Yes.
and was torrential.
It felt like a month's rain in 40 minutes.
It was pretty desperate. You just couldn't set foot outside the door.
No. And it does highlight that before I do Max's roof, I need to do a little bit of work on the roof.
Yes, we did have a leak.
But now that I know it's there, I know, well, I could try and fix it.
So what have we done this week, Adam?
Well, this week it's been taken up with one main job here at the house for me, and Lynn's been gardening.
Yeah, pottering around in the garden, which grew another 6 inches after that torrential downpour.
Yes, we came out the next morning, it was like everything had grown overnight.
It was a bit mad.
I've been working on building dog shelters in the compound area, and this is how far I've got. This week's job sees us trying to improve the dog enclosure by providing some permanent shelter for the dogs. There's a tarp rigged up for some shade. There's a couple of platforms out that they can lay on that keeps them off the ground. This was only ever intended to be temporary. We're looking to build them a proper shelter, some kennel type enclosures that they can rest in, and a proper roof to keep rain and sun off them. So that's today's job. First things first, I've got to clean up inside, get all the bits and pieces out of the way that we don't need before we can start measuring and planning for what we do need. So now we've cleaned the area up, removed the temporary cover, give it a bit of a sweep. It clears the area so we can see exactly what we've got to do. The end we're looking at now is where the kennels will go and the start of the sloping roof. There is shade in the rest of the enclosure here, provided by the trees. It's in the shade most of the morning anyway because of the barn, so they're not exposed to the sunshine too much, although if they want to line it, they can. We're going to be putting the upright posts into these post holders. These are the approximate positions of where they're going. We'll have posts coming out of those and then cross piece going up and into the barn. And here's the post holder. It's going to have 4 bolts into the concrete, holding it in place. And I think Engelbert agrees that's the right place for it. We've now got the first 2 posts in place. They're as vertical as we can get them. They're the same height as each other. We now need to put a crossbar in and a few supporting struts, and then we can start moving forwards. We've progressed quite nicely now. We've got all 4 upright posts in place. We have the framework secured around the top, so it's rigid side to side and front to back. Temporarily we put some OSB boards on top to give a bit of shade when the dogs are in here in the afternoon. I'm working in the mornings, they're having a compound in the afternoons. Our next thing is to build a little platform on which they can sit, and we can also put the kennels. I've now got all the supports in underneath the floor. I've got the floorboards cut to length. They just need screwing down and that'll be the base complete. We now have the platform screwed down in place. This will give us the surface that we're going to put the kennels on. And also there'll be a front bit where the dogs can lay out outside the kennel but still in the shade. It's a bit messy this morning. We had very torrential rain last night, which kicked up all the mud and all the bits and pieces that are laying on the floor around it. So I've swept it off, but it's still a bit messy. Today it's very humid as the ground dries out. The next job to do here is to put the roof on. We're going to actually use roof tiles that we've got left over from when we took the front of the barn down. I'm going to put battens across at the right distance, lay the roof tiles on, and I have tested it to make sure it takes my weight, and if it can take my weight, I'm sure it can take the roof tiles. Our plans have changed on what we're actually going to use to roof the shelter. We have these panels here, they're bituminous panels, they'll go on top, they'll fix in with the fixings, and actually gives a nice waterproof roof ready for the dog shelter. Hopefully by next week's video I should have finished the shelter and the kennels, and I can show you exactly what we do with that. But until then, we leave it here. Yes, that's how far we've got so far with the dog shelter, but we've had a change of plan.
We did, didn't we, Adam?
We did. We're no longer using roof tiles on top, we're using bituminous sheets. And there's an official and an unofficial reason for this.
Yeah.
What's the official reason?
The official reason is that with our spare tiles, I probably want to use it on the outdoor composting toilet and shower block that we're building next to the house. Simply because it's next to the house and it will tie in better with the tiles on the house.
And we don't want to run out of tiles.
We don't want to run out of tiles. What's the unofficial reason, Adam?
The unofficial reason is I didn't put enough of a pitch on the roof. So when I put the tiles on, they actually pointed down the wrong way. Yeah. So they wouldn't have run the water off, they'd have run the water in.
Yeah, so
schoolboy error.
Schoolboy error, but we live and learn.
We do. So yes, so you'll see how that goes in next week's video. This week though, we bring you a little bit of culture again.
Yes, I think we knew so little about Bulgarian culture before we came here. So and it's so rich, this country and culture.
Yeah.
So June the 2nd,
which was yesterday.
Yesterday, we had all the sirens sounding across the country at 12 o'clock.
Mm-hmm. And what was that for?
It was for Hristo Botev Day.
Indeed. Yes, it commemorates the anniversary of his death in 1876 on the 2nd of June. He was a revolutionary.
A poet.
And a poet, yes. And among his famous works, obviously, is In the Tavern, one of my personal favourites. I like being in a tavern.
To my mother, it's probably quite famous.
Very possibly, yes. Yes, and he's a national hero because he fought against the Ottoman occupation of Bulgaria.
Yeah, so they celebrate the day of Botov with the siren sounding, and everybody stands still for 2 minutes.
Yep.
And remembers him and those who died for the independence of Bulgaria.
Yes. Apparently the only things that are not advised to stand still are trains. It says so. It does say so.
Okay.
Yeah. But cars, traffic, all the rest of it does.
Right. So that's our cultural thing for this week.
So that's us up to date now for another week.
Yes, another short one from us this week.
Yes.
So we're still getting used to the changes in temperature.
Yes, we've slowed down a little bit because it is so hot.
Yeah. I think it doesn't even get below 16 degrees at night.
No, it's very warm. We've got the excitement next week of putting up our mosquito net. Not that we actually need it, but we just like it up.
You have had one bite.
I have been bitten once, yeah. But it's a bite. What can you do? Yeah. So until next week.
Doskoro.
Doskoro. Take care.
Stay safe.
And we'll see you then.
Bye.
Bye.